Get ready, because it's time for Geek Bombast, the weekly podcast dedicated to bringing you news and chill discussion on comics, movies, TV, video games, and anything else deemed totally awesome. On the show this week is Amanda Arias and myself, John Sitton. You know, Amanda?
Yes?
I said, you and I have been on a few episodes where it's just you and I talking.
Yeah.
And there was a previous podcast where it was just you and I talking.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched about.
Yeah.
And I do want to preface, unfortunately, that podcast may not be coming back in the form of a podcast.
That form isn't coming back.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the idea is gone yet.
And that's why today's episode is a special All Rings Considered edition of Geek Bombast. And for those who don't know, All Rings Considered was our wrestling podcast where Amanda and I would sit down and watch 1,000,000 hours worth of wrestling each week and then talk to you about it.
Yeah, just so we're clear, like bare minimum for me,
back then,
30 to 40 hours of wrestling a week.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was like
it was a full-time job.
Yeah, it was literally we went and worked 40-hour weeks and then watched 40 hours of wrestling on top of that, because we watched everything. It was WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Lucha Underground, sometimes Impact, and then local shows and...
Yeah, and I found streams for, like, CZW. I would find documentaries. I would find... I was reading history of wrestling books. I was 100% engrossed in wrestling.
We went hard.
Yeah, we went real hard.
We went in real hard. Harder than Tony Nese's abs.
Oh.
Which should tell you that, yeah, we still watch wrestling.
Just
not as much, but it's a much more condensed.
Yeah, just a little bit, not a lot of it.
And this is... we're not going to do news this week, because fuck the news. I mean, there's probably some new stuff out there.
Things happened, whatever.
Things happened. The Warner Brothers confirmed that there's no Batman Beyond movie in the works. That rumor that was going around was completely false. That was probably the biggest news. And also, there's a sequel to the movie Groundhog Day as a VR game about Phil Connor's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, like I said, not a whole lot of news, but it's there. So I decided let's just skip over it. Let's talk about, because there's a lot of wrestling going on these last 2 weeks. Also, folks might hear some what sounds like claws on
scratching.
Yes, claws on cloth. That's her dog, Joy.
She's getting comfortable.
She's trying to get comfortable today, but. Not going to be as barky as in the past because Michael's not here.
Yeah, she doesn't like Michael or any other guests.
Yeah, she doesn't like anyone being in our house. But literally, there's a lot of WWE specific content. Now, back in the day, we would talk about literally anything wrestling. This episode, though, is going to be pretty much WWE.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about All Rings Considered was literally all rings. We would talk about any wrestling, any big wrestling news or anything like that.
Yeah,
this is not that. This is just us talking about a few of the big things that happened recently in wrestling, specifically WWE. If you're a big wrestling fan, we're not going to talk about AEW at this time because they've only done one pay-per-view, and we'll get to them when they start coming out with like a regular product or a specific product. Maybe we'll do another one of these like little all-ring tidbits when Double or Nothing happens, but until then, we're going to just talk about WWE for this.
And then, there is news or rumors about I actually almost contemplated doing the news as just wrestling news and rumors, but decided not to.
There's too many.
There's too much.
There's so much.
It's too much, and a lot of it's rumor. Like not a lot of it's specific.
Yeah.
But
if Dave Meltzer says it, it's true.
Yeah. That goes without saying.
That is law.
Anything.
So
says.
Yeah.
So says the internet.
Yeah.
If he says it, then clearly it is 100% true, and no one should question anything he says. But this is also the man that said that Cody and the Young Bucks couldn't sell out an arena here in the States.
Yeah, so not entirely true, huh?
So,
Meltsy, baby!
Yeah. But he admitted he was wrong on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get starting with the first thing. This was last week on Saturday was NXT Takeover Phoenix, which NXT is for those who may not, in case you're not a wrestling person, because there's people who might be listening to Geek Bombast who are not wrestling people, and if that turns you off and you decide you don't want to listen to this episode, that's perfectly fine.
But we'll be back to your regularly scheduled program next week
with non-wrestling stuff. Unless there's a comic book or TV show or video game that's wrestling related that I decide I want to talk about.
Because you're not the boss of us.
Yeah, because it's my podcast. It's my podcast, and we'll talk about wherever the damn well please. But we're going to talk about NXT, for those who may not know, is kind of intended to be WWE's developmental system.
Think of it as the minor leagues for like a baseball team.
Yeah,
it's the minor leagues for wrestling, except
it's better.
It's more entertaining, and you want to watch it. It functions almost like its own independent wrestling promotion from WWE with some crossover. They've definitely, the more popular it gets, the more WWE wants to crossover with it. But initially, it started off as its own like isolated wrestling, and so you'd have your own NXT champions, you'd have your own like independent tag team champions and women's NXT champion. And then from there, when it started gaining popularity, you would have a little more crossover where like WWE, like main roster superstars would come down to NXT, and now they're kind of like showing up in the Royal Rumbles, and they're showing up as like pre-show matches sometimes, and they're always there, like they're takeovers, which would be an NXT takeover is like a pay-per-view for NXT.
Yeah, and we can't really call them pay-per-views because they're all played on just the WWE network.
Right, but it's their version. It's their big event thing. And so those usually coincide with a WWE pay-per-view. So, for example, Phoenix happened the Saturday before the Royal Rumble happened.
Yes, which we'll be getting to talk to that very shortly. Now, we're not going to talk about every match on here.
This isn't a play-by-play.
This isn't a play-by-play. We're just going to kind of hit on the beats and the things that we really want to talk about. Sometimes we may talk about something that's only reason we talk about it is to set up something we're going to talk about later. But
just literally like Daniel Bryan, and then we move on.
Yeah. But for NXT Takeover Phoenix, they had a pre-show. We didn't watch it, unfortunately. Apparently,
we just missed
Sam Roberts said some bullshit about Bianca Belair.
In a
very disrespectful and
disparaging way that implies he knows nothing about wrestling or knows no way. There's a way to insult somebody to be like, I'm a heel commentator and I'm, I'm talking shit about this person because that's what the character I'm playing, and like actually selling a match, because the way he talked about it, it almost came off like this is a garbage match. You shouldn't even bother watching it, and it's like, cool. Well, then I fucking won't.
Yeah, which, if you didn't, because of that, boo on you, because that match was good.
Yeah, also, don't listen to Sam fucking Roberts, for God's sake.
I really wish they'd stop putting him on the pre-show. But anyways, the opening match for the actual show was a Tag Team Championship match with the Undisputed Era, who are the Tag Team Champions, which were
Kyle O'Reilly
and Roderick Strong. Were going up against the War Raiders, which are
my boys,
Amanda's
Hanson and Rowe. John and I like to talk about this every time they show up, because we saw Ray Rowe when he was an independent wrestler.
Yeah, he actually wrestled here in Austin,
and I didn't like him initially. Something about him. And you know what? And this is really judgmental of somebody, considering I have tattoos. I don't like his tattoos.
It's the style of tattoos that he has.
Those tattoos. If you put him in American History X, and you didn't change anything about his tattoo, he would fit in, and you know what that means if you know American History X. But he doesn't seem like that type of person in real life. Yeah. I'm just saying that those tattoos gave me a real specific vibe, and it was really hard for me to get past it.
Also, he was clean shaven at the time, so it was like he didn't have the beard that he has now.
Yeah.
And he was skinhead bald, completely shaved, or I think he might have had a goatee at the time, and just has like these tattoos that at first glance, like you said, looks like he could have been an extra in American History X.
Yeah.
And then also every fucking match he had, because we saw more than one.
Right,
with him.
but we saw, I think, his first match in Inspire Pro.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. But, like, and they were just brutal matches. Like, it... Like
he was always, like, manhandling somebody and being really, just a hard hitter.
Yeah.
Like, he was a very, like, you could feel the chops that he was giving people. And he was just
people would leave and they were bruised. Like, it wasn't like a...
Yeah, and he was supposed to be a heel. So, I believe when he started, he was supposed to be a heel.
I don't know.
I don't remember. But I feel like he was supposed to be not liked. But I was just, the whole time I'm like, I don't like him. And I know I'm not supposed to like him, but I feel like I don't like him for a different reason.
Yeah. And turns out we were completely wrong about that. He's actually a very nice person. And
and he's like a sweet dude. And then Hanson, I was the exact opposite. And I saw him wrestle on Ring of Honor for like a move and a half, and I was like, he's going to go to WWE someday.
No, it wasn't just like a move and a half. He walked out as an entrance, and you're like, I like this guy's aesthetic. I think I found a new favorite wrestler. Let's see how he wrestles. And then, like, a move and a half, you were like, he's going to the WWE. He's my new favorite wrestler. I love him.
I think my All Rings fans will know this of me. I feel like, but I have had a few wrestlers that I've picked.
Yeah.
That I've been like I liked Big E before a lot of people liked Big E.
Yeah.
I definitely was like, he has potential to be a lot more than what you guys think he has. And people didn't believe me. There's more, but I can't think of them like off the top of my head right now. It's not like I have a list on my phone of all the... I'm just kidding. I don't.
Yeah. Well, we both liked Ember Moon. We were big fans of Ember Moon before
when she was Athena in the Indies, and but like so I feel like I've been lucky enough that when we were recording All Rings, there have been a couple of times where like even fans have been like,
boy, you called it.
Yeah, you called it, and I feel pride in that. And Hanson is definitely one of those that I saw right away, and he like clicked, and I knew.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad WWE saw it too. And so him and Ray Rowe, who are the War Raiders, we knew him as Warbeard in Ring of Honor.
Yes.
They came out to a bomb-ass Viking song tribute thing. Like everyone had shields. It was a better entrance than anyone in the Royal Rumble had.
It was a better entrance than anyone that entire weekend of
the show. I don't, because they probably just grabbed their LARPer friends and put them out on stage, which is totally fine. It was cool as shit, and then they ended up winning.
Yeah. And not even like, because, a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're big dudes, so they're going to come in and they're going to, like, wreck shop and then...
Hanson floats like a fucking butterfly.
He does. That man is...
He is grace personified.
Yeah. That's actually...
personified in a very angry-looking Viking man.
Well, and that's also one of the things I like about their dynamic is that Ray Rowe is not the biggest of the two of them. He is actually...
He's taller, but he's not the biggest.
Yeah, he's small compared to Hanson. Mm-hmm. Ray Rowe, throughout most of this match, was picking Hanson up and throwing him at the other team.
Yeah, Hanson is a weapon.
Yeah, using Hanson as a weapon. And I think that's amazing that the smaller guy is the one that's actually doing all the heavy lifting of, like, lifting up this giant guy and throwing him like a weapon. Because usually you see it as the other way. You see, like, the Big Show grab Ray, when they're teaming together, grab Ray and toss him onto the...
Fastball special.
Yeah, fastball special him or something. And here it's like, no, it's the other way.
Yeah.
Around. And it's amazing. But the other thing is that, you think, oh, these are two big guys, and when I say Ray Rowe is small compared to Hanson, he's not a small dude.
No, he's
huge.
They're both
dude
really
still.
big, yeah.
Just compared to Hanson, he's kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
But the other team is kind of smaller, definitely smaller guys that would probably appear on 205 Live, which is the cruiserweight division for the WWE, who, in case people don't know.
Yeah, it means they weigh 205 pounds or less.
Yeah, and I think Roderick Strong has appeared on 205 Live a few times.
Yeah.
Well, he fought Hideo Itami once and accidentally called him Kenta.
That was in NXT, wasn't it?
No, that was
205?
That was 205.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Strange thing that I remember that.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, these two smaller guys, you would think, looking at it on paper, oh, they're just going to go in and just wreck shop in typical WWE fashion of the big guys just come in and destroy the tinier guys.
Right.
No, there was some good back and forth between both teams, and it was believable back and forth. Like, not even... Because, sometimes when you get the smaller guys and they're fighting the bigger guys, it kind of feels a little like the bigger guy...
Yeah, sure, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't really feel like that's the case. But here, it's like every time, like, the Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly made, like, they held their own and made it believable.
Yeah.
And it was a great match. And I wasn't even actually 100% sure that the War Raiders were going to win in the end. And then when they did, it was a really good moment.
Well, I think the benefit of NXT, especially of this takeover, was that I didn't go into any of these matches going, oh, well, this person's clearly going to retain. Or, oh, this person's clearly going to win the new title or whatever.
Yeah.
Every single one went into the match not knowing what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's a benefit to them because main roster WWE has an issue where sometimes you watch a match and you go, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen because I already know what they want for a later date. But NXT... always has to kind of be on the fly because sometimes like somebody's going to get moved up without a lot of notice or anything like that, so they kind of just get to do anything they want and like change anything the way they want to change it. So I don't know, I just think it's interesting.
It is, and it's one of those things that this is also the Undisputed Era losing the last championship gold that they had as a team because previously Adam Cole had the North American title until he lost it to Ricochet, and now Adam Cole was like, well, I'm going to go after the NXT title kind of thing. And now none of them have gold. So it's and there's also rumors that Adam Cole may be not renewing his contract soon. Rumors. Purely rumors. Nothing confirmed or anything.
Did Dave
like
Meltzer
that.
say it?
I don't know. But
speaking of North American Championships,
but moving on to the North American Championship was Ricochet, who was the champion, versus Johnny Gargano. Ricochet, it's interesting here because the two types of wrestlers that these two guys are. Ricochet is very much the epitome of flippy shit because everything he does involves flips and jumps and things that WWE used to call Neville the man that gravity forgot.
Not no more.
Ricochet ain't got nothing, or Neville ain't got nothing on Ricochet because Ricochet literally defies gravity on a daily basis.
Yeah, he just like floats into the ring.
And then you have Johnny Gargano, who is coined as Johnny Wrestling, who's actually a very good wrestler.
Yeah, who would have guessed the guy called Johnny Wrestling would be a good wrestler?
But and so when you think about it, like you have this guy who's clearly a high flyer and another guy who's more of a wrestler, and they just put on a really good match against one another. And this is also kind of which this entire feud has kind of been building to this, but it's where the full heel turn for Johnny Gargano because he's been a babyface for the most part of his run in NXT. And it was a good match. Yeah,
it was a great match. My problem, and I don't have a huge problem because I thought the match itself was very entertaining, but my problem with the flippy shit stuff that Ricochet does is sometimes with the wrong wrestler or wrestler who's not used to it or doesn't like interact with that kind of wrestling style, it looks really choreographed. Because you have to be at the right place at the right time for a lot of this stuff to work. Because if it's a springboard from here to there, cartwheel, kip up, roll over there, springboard off of that, go back over here, and then outside the ring somehow, and then roll back into the ring, and it's all happening rapid succession, one after another, sometimes it looks very choreographed.
Yeah.
The benefit of having Johnny Wrestling in is that
he can
keep up, and he makes it look good.
And he's just as good.
Yeah, and it's just, exactly. And you have to be able to sell it, because sometimes wrestlers don't know how to sell it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it hurts, and it just looks like somebody's exhausting themselves and doing cartwheels around somebody and then like slapping them once, because they're not selling it like it should feel like a power move. because they're putting in that extra effort. They're
Yeah.
putting the extra spin. They're taking the extra dive off of the like a springboard, whatever.
And the idea behind it is that extra spin, that extra dive, that extra flip is supposed to add
momentum to the
power to the move that they're doing.
Yeah, because if you're getting punched standing still versus getting punched from somebody jumping off the top rope, it should feel a little harder.
It's like in an anime when you see, when a person does a punch, but then like they're running at you and they start like doing like spinning in a circle and you get hit with their fist, and it's supposed to add more. It's cartoon logic, but in a realistic way. God, I hate that I just said that.
Realistic way or cartoon logic?
All of it. All of it.
That entire sentence was bad.
Yeah, it was bad, and I should feel bad. But it was like I said, this was Johnny Gargano kind of getting a title, because that was also a big thing for his character, is that he had been outside of the tag titles, he had not had a singles title. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of him, he had gone multiple times for the NXT championship and repeatedly lost, mostly due to his own fault. Mm-hmm. Like, there were points in each of those matches where he could have won, but his anger or, something.
It was like past loyalty to a friend or...
Yeah.
Like
something happened.
Emotions.
His emotions would get in the way, and he would be his own downfall in those matches. And so here...
Shut yourself off from the world, Gargano. That's what I do. You just don't feel it.
But here he finally wins his title, and it's kind of bittersweet because it's a heel turn. Mm-hmm. But
that's never bittersweet to me.
Yeah.
That's
no.
That's just
wrestling.
Plain sweet to me.
Yeah. But there were some other matches here
Shayna
as well,
Baszler and Bianca Belair,
which was a great match. Outcome predictable a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was the only match where we knew what was going to happen, because it just seemed like they weren't ready to pull that title off of Shayna Baszler, and I'm not sure if they feel like Bianca Belair is ready for the NXT title, women's title.
I feel like, and this is going to be, I feel bad for saying this. I think
as bad as that last sentence?
No, actually. Not as bad as that. I think she is totally NXT main event ready. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she's ready for the title. Like, I think she's on that level to be able to compete for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because previously her entire character is she's the est, and by est I mean she's the great est. She is the est. She is the fast est. She's the est of everything.
The EST at the end of everything.
Yeah.
She is it.
And she was unbeatable. And that was kind of her whole thing, is that she was going like, well, I'm unbeatable, so clearly I'm going to get the title because no one can beat me. She was kind of doing the Asuka thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I don't like that as a character.
I don't mind the est gimmick.
Oh, no.
Because everyone has a gimmick, especially in women's wrestling right now. They all have I am the boss, I am the man, I am the hugger, I am the queen, I am the queen of hearts, or whatever Natalia is.
The princess of Staten Island.
Yeah, they all have a thing. I'm the goddess, I am Amber Moon, and I did serve more than everybody else. But, so, her having that gimmick makes sense. It's fine. It's just that
I didn't like the unbeatable thing.
Yeah, I don't, but that's true for anything. I hate streaks as gimmicks. Winning as a gimmick is kind of garbage to me. Because you're going to win, but eventually you're going to lose. It's going to happen. So then what happens to your character? And unless you're going to actually put some thought and writing behind it, it's pointless, because basically the same thing happened with Asuka, where they're like, she's unbeatable, no one's ready for her, she's great, she's fantastic, no one can ever beat her, she keeps winning, she's never lost, and then she finally loses, and then it's like, cool, well, we're done with you now, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened to Asuka.
Yeah.
Is that she kind of got lost in the shuffle once they had her lose.
Yeah. And
that's what I was I'm hoping that's not what happens with Belair, because I do think that she is very talented, and I think that she is going to be big. She's going to get nothing but better, and I'm thinking the loss is to help that, because I feel like if they just kept,
they had to let it go, and so she had to lose for them to move past it.
Yeah, for her character to evolve to be better. So I'm totally okay with her losing, and I think this is going to do nothing but great things for her in that she's shown that she can hang, because what I loved about it the most is that it really came off as she did almost beat Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
Multiple times. There were just split second that Shayna barely got out of it.
Yeah.
And it was desperation. Mm-hmm. That...
Yeah. And can we talk about the fact that Shayna Baszler... I like that we weren't going to talk about this match.
We weren't. We ended up talking about
like,
it.
Shayna Baszler... Between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler is because they're friends and they both came from that MMA background and whatever. Like this, they were kind of signed at the same time.
Yeah,
Shayna Baszler far surpassed Ronda Rousey.
Oh yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. She's totally 100%. Like she has a better character. Like she talks better. She's
she sells
more well-rounded.
So, like, she sells in a way where you feel like the match is never automatically won. I feel like Ronda Rousey is still struggling with that. Every match feels like a battle. Every time they put her against somebody, even if you're like, why would she even fight that person? Shayna Baszler makes it seem like there's a reason. Yeah. Like, she is really good and underappreciated. She doesn't look like anybody else. She doesn't wrestle like anybody else, and she doesn't have to.
Yeah. And it's...
So there. Yeah. So fucking there.
And she's great. But moving on to the actual main event, which was NXT Championship title match between the champion Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black. Mm-hmm. Aleister Black previously held the title, lost it to Ciampa because of Johnny Gargano's interference, and also Aleister Black got injured or got attacked by Johnny Gargano and sent to the hospital and never got his rematch. Yeah. So this is kind of him coming back and getting that rematch for the title that he lost by interference.
Yeah.
And again, another really good match.
I don't know if Aleister Black's ever put on a bad match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's I really like Aleister Black a lot. I like his whole gimmick. It just works for me. Mm-hmm. And it works in a way that you don't have to tweak it for him to be a good guy, and you don't have to really tweak it for him to be a bad guy. He just is. Yeah,
his motivations fit the character.
Also, I really like his intro theme song. His entrance theme. It's just...
Well, his entrance in general, the coming up, like...
Yeah.
He literally lays flat on a board and it raises up like he's a vampire in a 1950s movie. Yeah. He just comes straight up.
Yeah, and there's like fog.
I'm shocked that never happened in an Undertaker entrance. It just doesn't... It blows my mind that it never happened. And Undertaker is straight up like glided into the ring, and I mean like literally he took like a step onto a skateboard and some grip like rolled him to the ring, or I don't know how they did it, but whatever. That's just what it looked like, you know. But and yet they've never did the thing where he just kind of rises.
Yeah.
So it's captivating to see Aleister
And also,
Black.
I feel like his entrance theme, because again, I love his entrance theme, also describes his character in a way that I feel like most people's entrance music doesn't, but should. Mm-hmm. Because the lyrics that he's coming out to says, no man is truly good, no man is truly evil, but I'm better than you ever could, or I'll do better than you ever could, and we'll never be equal. Mm-hmm. And it's essentially him saying, I'm better than you, and there is no such thing as good and evil.
Yeah.
You know, and
so they're like, are you a bad guy or a good guy? And he's like, it doesn't matter, I'm better than you.
Yeah. Or I'll do the things you never could. We'll never be equal. Is the actual lyrics. I don't know why I misquoted them. But
you still got that point of
song. But yeah, it's I am both worried and excited for him to eventually get moved up to WWE, because I actually think he's one of the people that could transition in a way. I think you said it best earlier before we started recording, which is Aleister Black is what
WWE wanted Baron Corbin to be?
Yes.
That thing? Yeah.
Yes. I feel like that's the case, but it is also successful, and it's good. And I worry that either A, they're going to bring him up, and they're going to get rid of all of it and change it, which
I don't think you can. Like, there's certain things that you can change from a wrestler, right? You can, hey, we don't want you to be El Generico anymore. You're going to be Sami Zayn or whatever. But Aleister Black seems to be who he is.
Yeah.
So to change that would be really weird. Like, if they're like, hey, we want you to play a Frenchman who plays video games. And it's like, okay, he's none of those things. That doesn't make sense. I mean...
I'm sure he could make it work.
I'm sure he could, except for the French part. Like, what is he going to do? Like an accent?
That's a bad French accent.
Oh, Jesus. I do think he worked.
Just walk around going, oh.
And the fact that Baron Corbin doesn't do that gimmick anymore leaves Aleister Black free to kind of do what he wants. But a guy that's kind of a lone wolf, that isn't, I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, but kind of a stick up his ass kind of douche. Because he doesn't laugh, he doesn't joke. He's a real straightforward, like, no nonsense kind of character. And so that, I feel like we don't have a lot of that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's. I definitely I like everything about him. I like how he comes to the ring. I like how he gets in the ring, kind of sits down cross-legged, as he rolls into the ring, kind of thing. The match between him and Ciampa was actually really good. This was, again, like I feel bad because I feel like every one of these matches that we talk about, I keep just going, yeah, and the match is really good.
Right. Okay, but it's an NXT show, so if you don't know anything about NXT. You're going to hear us say that a lot because NXT is fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah. And oftentimes, we watch things like TakeOver Phoenix or any TakeOver show or any special they have, and we go, how are the main roster wrestlers going to compete with that? Because they do need to compete with that.
And the thing is that, I mean, I've seen interviews with guys from the main roster where they're like, yeah, no, we think that thing too. We think, how are we going to compete with that? And then we go, oh man, we got this great idea for this thing that's going to be, we're going to go out and steal the show with this. And then they're told, oh, by the way, your match is cut in half. Yeah. So you can't do all the things that you wanted to do. So it's kind of it sucks because they want to do better. They want to do as good or better as the NXT performers, but they're hindered by what they're not allowed to do.
Yeah, and now a lot of them are NXT performers that got moved up, and now they don't have that freedom that they used to have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of them haven't even appeared on TV since getting called up.
Ty Dillinger?
Well, he's been injured.
Oh, okay.
Though he just recently got cleared, from what I understand. But no, like Sanity, when they got called up, where are they now?
Hell if I know. I don't know, but thank God we have time to give Shane McMahon and The Miz more wrestling matches. Like, I can't understand. Like, Shane McMahon wrestling is infuriating to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
Like, I'm fine with The Miz wrestling. He's a fucking wrestler. But Shane McMahon is an old as fuck man. And the issue, I'm jumping into it because fuck it. This is welcome to what All Rings was. Me ranting. But fairly recently, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Shane McMahon came out on Raw to talk about how they were the authority. Isn't like the fans are the authority now. We're giving the fans what the fans want, and we're taking away a lot of things. There's no automatic rematch for a belt if you lose a belt. You don't get to if you lose your WWE Championship, you don't automatically get a rematch to get it back. Because WWE has this issue where they have this circular thing of title belt going back and forth, or just constant, I deserve a rematch because it was my belt, I deserve a rematch because it was my belt. And then you end up with Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar over and over and over and over again. 4 times. Yeah. See Randy Orton versus John Cena, because there's 80,000 matches of theirs. So they were we're taking that away. And, young, new wrestlers, we're bringing up NXT people, we're bringing up new stars because we want this to be fresh and it's a facelift and it's, this, then that. And then they put Shane McFucking-Man in a tag team with The Miz. Do you know, this is within the same, 2 weeks that
was in the same week.
Yeah, bullshit is what it is. It's garbage to me, and it's upsetting because I appreciate the idea that maybe there's fans that still want to see Shane McMahon wrestle, but I can guarantee that that wasn't what they had in mind when they said that they were going to have young, more fresh-faced fucking people come in and wrestle.
Yeah.
Like, it's upsetting to me. It's bothering me that that's even a thing. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that match for the Royal Rumble because...
But also, before we were even going to get to the Royal Rumble, I mean, after...
Oh, you're right.
After the tag team match, the NXT Championship match, in which Tommaso Ciampa retained his title,
right?
Ciampa went up to the title, up to the top of the ramp and was holding up his belt, and then Johnny Gargano came out and held up his belt. And
DIY is together again
because they used to be a tag team
called DIY, yes.
And until Ciampa turned on Gargano, So now are they together again? They're both title holders, and then Velveteen Dream just came out and basically started saying something about how he's going to take Ciampa's title, and then out comes Adam Cole of Undisputed, who's kind of the leader of Undisputed, comes out and starts arguing with Velveteen Dream, and then Aleister Black runs up and starts beating the crap out of Ciampa, or trying to fight Ciampa, and then Ricochet comes out to try to push back on Gargano after their match, and then it starts off in a brawl that goes into the back and then goes off air. That's how. And
everybody's like, "What?"
Everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And in the pre-show for Royal Rumble, which we're not going to talk about any of the pre-show matches, this is the only thing. This is our transition into the pre-show. Shawn Michaels announced that at halftime for the Super Bowl, though they couldn't say Super Bowl because of legal rights.
Big game.
Yeah, for the big game. That please, NFL, don't sue us for saying the word Super Bowl.
Don't say it again.
Oh no! Said that they were bringing back Halftime Heat, which for anyone who doesn't know what Halftime Heat is, it was a match between The Rock and Mick Foley in an empty arena that played during halftime of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Just like the name suggests. And they were going to bring it back again, though it was not going to be an empty arena, and it was going to be Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream, Ricochet, and Aleister Black. And that's what's going to be...
Yeah, and it was going to take place at the NXT training facility with the crowd being some NXT wrestlers, but a lot of local fans. I think it's a real specific invite. You couldn't just buy tickets anywhere.
Yeah. And I want to say they never talked about it in story. And that's one of the things I love about NXT and their storytelling is they don't point it out to you, but if you've been watching long enough, this is kind of a payoff that's clearly unintentional, but really it works storyline wise, because why would Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet team up? It's all because of Velveteen Dream.
Yep.
Velveteen Dream, when he first came in, he actually taunted Aleister Black because Aleister Black would not acknowledge his existence. He would literally walk by him, Velveteen was like, "Oh."
Well, this goes back to the Aleister Black no-nonsense character, and Velveteen comes off as a very comedic character, so Aleister didn't have time for that kind of shenanigans.
And for anyone who doesn't know who Velveteen Dream is, he is what's your description of him?
I said, think of if Prince woke up one day and decided he wanted to beat people up.
Yes.
He's a very, if Prince and Goldust kind of idea... mixed with a really good wrestler.
Yeah, no, exactly, and very charismatic as well. So the whole feud, there was a feud between Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream, which the feud wasn't "I'm better than you," it was "you need to acknowledge me.
Say my name.
Say my name. Acknowledge who I am." And Aleister Black would not do it. Led into an NXT Takeover match. Fucking amazing match that was.
It was a beautiful match.
And Aleister Black won, but at the very end of it, he grabbed a microphone and said, as Velveteen Dream was walking off, he goes, "Velveteen Dream, you just, I hope you're happy with your 15 minutes of fame, because not only have I said your name, you've impressed me." And then they never interacted again.
Yeah.
And then Velveteen Dream started going up against Ricochet when Ricochet first came in, because Ricochet was the new hotness. He was the big rookie independent get for NXT, and he was clearly going to be the guy the company was going to try to put a lot of marketing power behind. They wanted to make him a similar face of the company kind of thing. And Velveteen Dream took offense to that because he's Velveteen Dream, and he's the one that everyone should be talking about.
Yeah, he started a bit of a anything you can do, I can do better kind of grudge. And
then it ended with Ricochet getting the better of the two, over Velveteen Dream. But there was very clearly a respect. Like, Velveteen had earned Ricochet's respect, and Ricochet had earned Velveteen's respect.
Yeah.
So that's so great storytelling that when this happens. So you clearly have the guy who who previously had the NXT title, is probably going to get called up soon in Aleister Black. You have the guy, Ricochet, who's probably going to be the future NXT champion at some point in the future. And then you have Velveteen Dream, who's very clearly, he is at a position in the company where he's kind of next it. Like, it's his time to go for the title right now.
He is also, oddly enough, the face of this company. I feel like they didn't expect it from him, and that the fans gravitated towards him in a way that no one could have possibly expected, especially because he met the expectations. Like, the fans were kind of in it for the funny gimmick.
Yeah.
And then he kept having good matches. And then he gave a really solid old school kind of promos. And he
very Rick Rude-esque or Macho Man Randy Savage-esque in a way.
He very much he's always been a fan. We know him from Tough Enough, and we know that the actual person, Patrick Clark, is a diehard wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And it's great to watch him pull. We can see what he's pulling from.
Yeah.
Not just the gimmick of, like, Prince, but you can see in his gear, today he's NWO Hulk Hogan. Today he's Ricky Rude. And not doing it in a way where it's insulting or like, this guy doesn't know how to be his own character. He's just redoing what Hulk Hogan did, or he's just redoing what Rick Rude did. He is very much being his own version of that. And it's just really nice to see as a fan of wrestling to get that from him.
Yeah, and even goes back to kind of when we were watching, when he was on Tough Enough, he was the one that was upset at the other contestants because he was the only one actually watching the WWE Network.
They did a like One Night in Japan event while Tough Enough was filming, and everyone else didn't watch it except for him.
Yeah. And they did a whole thing where he was actually, which regardless if that was staged or if that was actually something that happened, that was actually it's very telling of him, I feel like.
Because he studied it.
Yeah, because he studied, and it was literally, I think we thought he was going to be the one to win. At some point, it seemed like he should. Yeah.
I thought he was known as Mata at the time. I don't know his name now.
Yeah.
But He's like Jason Momoa's best friend in real life. I thought he was going to end up winning because he was like this big muscular guy, and he already kind of had a gimmick with himself, which was essentially just yelling. But
but like in true Tough Enough fashion, the people who lose are always the ones that end up with permanent jobs at WWE.
Yeah, see Sonya Deville, and for some fuck off reason, maybe sacked. Oh yeah,
and The Miz.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the people who don't win are the ones that end up...
Wasn't Daniel Bryan technically in a Tough Enough?
No, he was NXT.
Oh, that was NXT when it was like a competition.
Yeah, before it actually became what it is now. Let's
talk about the Diva search.
So I mean, I just think it's amazing storytelling when you have this through line that you look, because again, it goes back to the Wrestling Isn't Wrestling YouTube video that Max Landis did. It's that when you look at it, it seems purposeful. It seems like this is the story they were always telling, is that Dream went up against the guy who was clearly the guy at the time and lost, but he gained his respect. Then he wrestled the guy who's clearly going to be the guy in the future and lost, but gained his respect and got better came out better after and now he's the guy, and those two people who he earned their respect have his back.
Him,
there's a through line that they're not pointing out, and I love the fact that they don't point it out, because it's such an amazing little little history. Like, if you've watched it, it feels like such a good payoff.
Yeah, if you're there the whole time, it feels natural.
Yeah.
Like, it just... I mean, it's true for life, a lot of things. Like, sometimes things... And I hate to do the, like, things happen for a reason, but you definitely get the sense of, like, I don't know why this happened in my life. I don't know why this was going on. And then you take a step back and see how everything kind of flowed out. And there's oftentimes, like, this led to that. That led to this. And in wrestling, sometimes you get nonsensical things that happen, or, well, they just wanted to write a feud or whatever. But in the long term, it creates these dynamic moments that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's why I really love that whole ending of that, and I love the fact that they're building it up to, which we'll talk about again later, the halftime heat. I love the fact that it's culminating kind of in that, in a way. But like I said, that was announced on the pre-show of the Royal Rumble. We're not going to talk about any of the pre-show matches, other than there was a whole thing where Lana, Rusev's wife, got injured, which
that'll
is
come
to
into
set
play
up
later.
Everything else is kind of... Well, and then there was also the 205 Live Cruiserweight title match.
Which was great. It was a 4-way match, but it was Hideo Itami's last pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
Because he's leaving the WWE, and he was definitely one that I had an eye on, that I felt like I personally could have written so many different storylines for him, and it seemed like WWE was like, but we don't know what to do with them, and just kind of like let him float around in the background.
It literally became, hey, we have this Hideo Itami guy, and we're putting all our marketing behind him. Oh, but we got Finn Balor now.
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, well, Finn Balor's we're going to push him to the side a little bit. Maybe it's Hideo's time now. Hideo gets injured, is out. Well, while he's injured, now we got Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, was like,
who's that other guy? Who we still employ him? Okay, well, I guess throw him on 205 Live. You know?
Yeah, it was, just what a waste of my time. What a waste of his time. You could do so much better.
Yeah.
So I look forward to see what he does next.
I really hope he ends up either back at New Japan and puts on some amazing matches in New Japan, or maybe
AEW.
goes to AEW.
Who knows?
Hopefully he stays far away from Impact, considering they're still a thing. Somehow they're still a thing.
Yeah. Somehow we're still a thing.
I think we have more lasting power than Impact Wrestling. But the first match of the night was Asuka versus Becky Lynch. This is Asuka as the SmackDown Women's Champion. And this is kind of a rematch for the Women's Championship, because the previous pay-per-view was a triple threat, Charlotte, Asuka, and Becky Lynch, who was the champion at the time, in a ladder match, and Asuka won the title, and Becky Lynch felt upset because she was never pinned for that title, so this is kind of her...
I want it back.
I'm the man, I'm here to get the title back, and everything. And I want to say that Becky Lynch is the face of WWE, where we were talking about how Velveteen Dream is kind of the face of NXT. Becky Lynch currently is the face of all of WWE.
Can we take a second to notice that the face of NXT is a man who is very androgynous and kind of an effeminate character? He wears very frilly blouses, and
his entrance is a diva entrance.
He does kind of a diva's entrance, really similar to the Beautiful People, if you ever watched TNA when it was kind of good. And the face of WWE right now, main roster WWE, is a woman who calls herself the Man.
Yeah.
And I just think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great. And this was a match between Becky Lynch and Asuka, and it kind of had to do... This match had to set up a couple different things. One, we kind of already knew going in that Becky wasn't going to win.
Because the storyline dictates that Becky Lynch wants to go after Ronda Rousey. The problem with that, though there is not a huge problem, the problem with that is that Becky Lynch is on SmackDown and Ronda Rousey is the Raw Women's Champion. So to make that happen, you have two options. You magically find a way to get Becky Lynch over to Raw, or you do the easier thing and you have her win the Royal Rumble, thus earning her the choice of who she wants to go after at WrestleMania, either the Raw Women's Champion or the SmackDown Women's Champion. guess who she would choose? So from here, we need to make sure that she doesn't win the title, because then she can't enter the Royal Rumble.
But also, you have to also make Asuka look credible as a champion as well. You can't have it be, oh, well, Becky only lost because...
Yeah, she must have slipped.
Yeah, she must have slipped, or someone came out and distracted her. No, they need, because of the problem we talked about, where Asuka, as soon as she lost her first match, they kind of didn't know what to do with her, and she kind of just floundered in the mid card for a while, and now it seems like they're kind of like, no, we're going to fix that. We need to, because we have this amazing talent in Asuka, and
and we're horrified of losing any more talent.
Yeah. Well, especially considering, they wanted someone that could. I feel like they wanted Asuka to be built back up.
Yeah.
And this match did it, because it also felt like one of those situations where Asuka won cleanly, like Becky Lynch lost.
Right.
But it didn't feel like it was a loss that was like, oh man, that totally hurts Becky Lynch. It was a situation where Asuka happened to get the upper hand at the right moment. And it was one of those things that the match could have gone either way. And at the last minute, something happened in Asuka's favor, and she won the match.
Right.
So Becky Lynch loses.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big disappointing thing. The man loses. She walks out.
Yeah.
We move on to the next match, which is Ronda Rousey versus Sasha Banks. Not really much here to say other than Ronda Rousey came out wearing a white Power Ranger.
We couldn't figure it out. Like, we both recognized that her gear looked better than usual. I feel like her gear is needlessly bland.
Yeah.
Because it's usually just like black trunks, red top.
Yeah, black,
Black and red. And not that that color combination is bad, it's just like,
it's
she
very
doesn't...
MMA fighter.
Yeah, and it's just kind of boring. And then this time she came out and it was white, black, and gold. And it looked cool, like the design was really nice, but like I didn't clock that it was the White Ranger from the Power Rangers
until much later.
Until Jason David Frank said so on his Instagram.
And then I looked at a picture of him. I'm like, oh, I see it now.
Yeah, it had to be pointed out to me. And usually, wrestling gear's not that subtle.
Yeah.
So it was kind of jarring for me.
What's funny is the belt is the first thing that when it was pointed out to me what it was, and I looked at her belt, I was like, that's why her belt looks so weird.
Yeah.
It looks like the White Ranger's belt, because that was the thing, is the little drawn-on belt. Everyone was making fun of it because, A, it's a drawn-on belt, but also it is this weird, clunky-looking drawn-on belt. And it just, like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there was like one thing missing, and I don't know what that thing was, but she needed it, so I knew what the fuck she was wearing.
But yeah, so and she retained the title against Sasha Banks. That match was also really good. And at the end of it, Sasha put the Four Horsemen logo or hand gesture in Ronda's face and walked off, and Ronda was really upset about it because, she and her friends personally called themselves the Four Horsewomen.
Yeah, and Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Bayley called themselves the Four Horsewomen.
Yeah, but that's like
which kind of happened like simultaneously.
Yeah,
like they both were doing it at the same time.
The only difference is that Charlotte is the daughter of Ric Flair, who is the mastermind behind the Four Horsemen. Mm-hmm. So she has more of a claim to it than Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny to me that Ronda's like, you guys don't deserve it, and it's like, no, you picked Roddy Piper, you get to be Rowdy Ronda Rousey, you don't get to be the Four Horsewomen too.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I appreciate what you do.
That really
you come out in
kid.
Roddy's jacket and a kilt, and you are not even, like, Irish. Scottish.
Well, neither was he.
Shh, I'm talking! I'm just saying that she's, like, it's just,
Yeah, no.
It's somebody else's gimmick. That's the thing. So, the difference between Velveteen Dream and Ronda Rousey. I didn't know I was going to make this comparison today.
Go for it.
But I'm gonna. Is that you see where Velveteen gets his inspiration from. But you still feel like it's Velveteen. You go, he spray paints, or not spray paints, airbrushes his tights, his ring gear like Ricky Rude used to.
Yeah.
I get that, but this pertains to their storyline. This pertains to the way he's portraying his character right now. Ronda Rousey comes out in Roddy Piper's actual jacket and a kilt. And I don't go, oh, this is how Ronda Rousey is. I feel Ronda Rousey in this. I go, she's coming out in Roddy Piper's jacket and a kilt. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference, is that that's what I mean when I say that, like, Velveteen pulls from other things, but you can see where the inspiration, exactly, like, you can see where the inspiration comes from, but you can also see where he is in it, where Ronda is just a girl in somebody else's jacket.
Yeah. Totally, I get that.
Anyway, it was a good match.
It was a good match, and yeah, there was that. And then we had again, we're skipping over some matches. Then we had the big 30-woman Royal Rumble match, which a lot of NXT female wrestlers in this.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the first probably 10 people were, or like the first.
Well, like, Lacey Evans was the very first person.
Which she's a call-up. She's now main roster. She's no longer NXT. But it was like the first, like, 10 people were actually Raw and SmackDown people, and then, like, the next 15 people were NXT superstars.
Yeah, and they all had hard-to-pronounce names, except Kairi Sane, which I, wasn't expecting her to be the one with the easiest name to pronounce, but it was, like, Zhang Li was the Chinese wrestler.
Yeah.
And then there's a girl that she was in the American Ninja Warrior, whose name
Also, is it just me, and I feel like this was done more in the women's Royal Rumble, is that everyone is trying to recreate Kofi Kingston's spots?
Yeah, 100%. The whole time. I was like, every time. I think Naomi should be the only one that's allowed to, because she's done it before. So you've already decided that Naomi's going to be the Kofi of the Royal Rumble. And because she did it last year.
Yeah.
Of the two women's Royal Rumbles, she did it 2 years in a row. But then they did
the American Ninja Warrior or whatever.
Yeah,
lady.
she like a
handstand kind of thing.
She handstand walked back, and then there was another girl who did something else, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
But yeah, it was just like everybody's doing trying to get those spots, and then you also had Selena Vega. Who came out dressed as Vega from Street Fighter, hiding under the ring, all like slyly, like popping around.
She would pop out and watch the match. Yeah, I appreciated that.
And then got chased out by Hornswoggle.
Yeah, which was almost like a fun little old school nod,
Yeah.
I don't like the Iconics, right?
Yeah.
I think I've gone on record not liking the Iconics. It will now be on record. I am turning around on the Iconics. I do not love them now, but I understand why people like them.
They're a comedy gimmick.
They are, and they're really good at it. Like, the problem is, like, their general promos are just repeating what other people say over again, and it's like, that's annoying as shit. And I get that, like, as a heel, you're supposed to be annoying as shit, but it's also, like, bad television annoying as shit. But they're, like, the one of them waited until the other one came in, like, also got called, but then Nikki Cross came out of nowhere and, like, body slammed her while she was waiting on the outskirts, and there was just a lot of, and then there's, like, a behind the scenes thing where somebody was trying to enter Kathleen Kelly?
Yeah, Kathy Kelly.
Yeah. She was trying to interview the Iconics
like, so
after they got eliminated.
It's like, so you two just got eliminated?
Yeah, and they just like, do you have a question? Do you have an important question? Is that what you're just going to ask us? And it was funny. And it was, so I like get it. I get why people like them. I don't love them, but at least they're not a waste of my time. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like for a long time, divas have been, so I've been really harsh with women who are just, we're trying to start a thing here in wrestling with women, and then they throw out, like, big titty, pretty girls that are just catty, like high school style catty, and it's like, come on, you can do better than that. And they are now doing better than that. Yeah,
no, they are. But the big thing here was that the number 28 Royal Rumble entrant was Lana from earlier,
who got injured
and was slowly walking out to the ring ever so slowly. So much so that number 29 came out, which was Nia Jax, who also walked out, grabbed Lana, picked her up, slammed her into the barricade, then ran to the ring to get in the ring. And then number 30 came out, which was Carmella. Who she actually came out, and Lana had not gotten in the ring at all at this point.
No, she was surrounded, at this point, she was surrounded by medical staff.
Yeah, medical staff. And so, the match is still going on, and Lana hasn't gotten in the ring, and some people have gotten eliminated and stuff like that. And then Becky Lynch comes out and goes, no, if she's not going in, I'm going in.
And then Fit Finlay goes, who are you talking to? No. And then she goes, no, but for real, she can't even walk. And then he goes, have at it then, I guess. And then we all went, if Fit Finlay says it, then it's true.
Yes.
I don't know why, but we all just kind of agreed that he was allowed to change the rules.
I also love that he's only known as Finlay. And I think you've only been watching since he was Finlay, but because I always call him Fit Finlay, you call him Fit Finlay?
Yeah.
Because that's how I was introduced to him back when his gimmick was called Fit Finlay.
Anytime I see him referenced, it's Fit Finlay. Oh, okay. So it's not just because you say it; it's because I
didn't know other people did it. I thought I was really the only one who called him that. So
no, because even I read the tweets when the events are happening, and somebody said Fit Finlay's kids had made WrestleMania a Royal Rumble entrance, and it was Hornswoggle and Becky Lynch. So it was always references.
And the thing that people should know, behind the scenes, a lot of those early female wrestlers, especially in NXT, in the early days, were trained by Fit Finlay. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, aside from the fact that the joke is he's Irish, she's Irish. Mm-hmm. So
Hornswoggle's a leprechaun.
Hornswoggle's a leprechaun, so therefore
they're all related.
They're all related. Technically, she is one of his kids because he helped train her in the WWE style and helped improve.
He helped make her who she is.
Yeah, help with.
So did Finn Balor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
She trained at his school.
Yeah, no, she trained at his.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah, Finn Balor had a school.
Because Ireland's a very small place for wrestlers, and they all ended up in the
related.
Same. Yeah, they're all leprechauns.
Yeah, but so Becky Lynch goes in and wins the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, there's a great, Nia Jax gets eliminated. So they try to do a Charlotte, Hogan, Andre the Giant, Nia Jax thing.
Where Charlotte was supposed to pick up Nia Jax on her shoulders and then throw her over the ropes.
Yeah, so what had happened was... one, they were too far away from the ropes for this to work anyway.
Yeah.
Two, Charlotte was already a little gassed at this point because she'd been wrestling the entire time.
Yeah.
She dropped her the first time. She kind of just body slammed her.
Yeah. What I loved is that one of the commentators was like, my God, she just threw Nia Jax across the ring.
She gingerly placed Nia Jax
She fell down.
Yeah. But when she did get her out, Nia Jax helped her get her over the ropes, and you can kind of see it, and it's not the cleanest it could have been done. Having said that, if you watch the Hogan Andre the Giant one, it also wasn't as nice as people imply that it looked. So
memory makes things more
because everyone's better. And then Hulk Hogan lifted him over his head
with one finger,
and then threw him over, and it's nah. Andre helped Hogan as much as Nia Jax helped Charlotte. And I think people need to get off their high horse as far as how things used to go in wrestling, but it was still a really nice spot. I wish that they would actually draw the comparison, because I'm sitting here knowing what the comparison is, and it bothers me that nobody else is saying it.
Yeah.
And then Nia Jax throws Becky Lynch, who was out of the ring but not out of the match, and
Becky hurts her leg.
Becky hurts her leg and still goes through the rest of the match, because they were gonna call it, and no, she can't stand on her knee. She's gonna
they're just gonna call it and give it to Charlotte.
Yeah, they're gonna give it to Charlotte, and she said no, and she runs in the ring. She tries to make Charlotte fight her. There's a great dynamic of Charlotte laughing.
Yeah.
It's like a heel turn, I think. I don't know.
Well, she's kind of been a heel for a little bit.
But it's just oddly... It's just... Okay, another moment that people need to think about is that when Charlotte first started, they brought her out with her dad all the time.
Yeah.
And they would literally, her and her dad would literally have these moments where they would just cry at each other. Because they're both very emotional people. And it was genuine. And it was sweet, but it was kind of not what wrestling is.
Yeah.
So we weren't getting good promos from Charlotte. And we weren't getting a character out of Charlotte. We were getting Charlotte is Ric Flair's daughter, and they cry a lot when they're near each other. And she was not a good promo person for a while. NXT promo style for training women to do promos was kind of garbage, and I call it the Summer Rae effect, because Summer Rae gave these really garbage promos, and it was a very specific way of talking that
all of them kind of did.
Like Sasha Banks took years to get out of that. And she's such a good talker, and then she talked in this, I can't even repeat the way they do it, because
I'm just saying, if I'm going to be doing this thing, she's talking with her chin. It's literally, she's leading what she's saying with her chin.
And it's just dumb, and I hate it. And all of them did it except like Bayley, who couldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
No matter how hard she tried. But Charlotte now is a character, and it's fantastic to see that I'm seeing it click in a way that I haven't seen. And she's being overshadowed by the Becky Lynch Ronda Rousey thing right now.
Yeah.
But when that's over, Charlotte's going to be a bigger force to be reckoned with than people realize.
Yeah.
Because she's there. And so Ronda may or may not be around after WrestleMania. There's like rumors that she wants to start a family and wants to take time off so she can have kids and whatever. And that's fine, that's beautiful, she can do that, whatever. When she's gone, Becky Lynch is already dominating this scene. Charlotte is waiting. Like a fucking hyena waiting to just gnaw on some fucking meat. Like, you can see it in her eyes. And I'm hyped. And I don't know if other people are, like, grabbing at it or, like, seeing it, but I'm really hyped about... I can't wait until this Ronda Rousey shit is over. Because there's good happening that we can't get to until we get past it.
And, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, even going on that, I mean, the whole Becky Lynch calling herself the man thing is because of her feud with Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte had the title, if I'm not mistaken. And Becky beat her for the title, and when the thing was that Becky got a shot at the title. I forget who had the title at the time, but Becky, I think it might have been Carmella. But like Becky got a one-on-one match, and then Charlotte found a way to insert herself into the match.
Yeah,
which Becky's whole thing was like, every time I'm doing good, every time I'm starting to get ahead and like forge a path of my career, you come and insert yourself and cut me off.
Yeah.
And make it all about you.
Yeah.
This is not about you. This is about me. And so, Charlotte got the title at the pay-per-view event that Becky was supposed to be like, this is her big, this is my ascendance. And so it started this whole feud, and then she beat Charlotte. And then she goes, your dad always used to say to beat the man, or to be the man, you have to beat the man. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as the women's division is concerned, you were the man, and I just beat you, and that now makes me the man. And then she kind of kept going with this, I'm the man.
And then she just dominated, and all of her promos,
whatever clicked
perfectly, and everything
and
she does is
fucking savage on Twitter, by the way.
Damn magical.
Yeah, it's literally been the best thing on TV.
Yeah. Nia Jax punched her on the face.
And broke her nose, and then she got up and like beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Like, it was her Stone Cold moment of the thing where the Stone Cold versus Bret Hart match where Stone Cold was crimson red across his face, but still but not tapping out and being a badass, and that moment of like that just solidified him as main. That was her moment of she gets hit in the face, her nose gets broken, and then she gets up and she just kind of has this look of, yeah, I'm bleeding, so what?
Yeah,
come at me.
Yeah.
Let's go. This is Raw. I'm not even on this show. This is my show now. I own this show, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
Yeah, she owns everything.
Yeah, and
nobody fucking questions it. Ronda got I think, beat up in that same show, same episode. She got hit in the...
No, that was right after she got beat up by Becky Lynch backstage, and then Becky was, after she got bleeding, Ronda came out.
Yeah.
And then she dropped Ronda in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. And then Ronda never, there was no retaliation for that.
Yeah.
Except for Ronda tweeting a bunch, which really tells you the difference between, a wrestler and a MMA fighter.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, again, there's this whole story of Charlotte inserting herself into Becky's story. And here you have Becky, she's clearly hurt. You thought that she was going to win the big one, and Charlotte's now thinking, I've got a cakewalk. Mm-hmm. I'm going to win. This is a sure thing now.
Yeah.
I have, because also you got to think that I think she faced Becky Lynch 3 or 4 times since Becky started doing the whole man gimmick.
Yeah.
And each time she's lost. And so it's kind of been a thing where, well, even though, even though I've beaten her in the past, I've been losing against her repeatedly for, the last 4 times we went up against each other. Mm-hmm. This is my comeuppance. This is where I prove that those were a fluke. That was just, I was having a slump, if you will. And then I'm going to beat her. And then I'm going to go challenge Ronda because I want to be the one to beat Ronda Rousey, kind of thing.
Right.
And then, so she's laughing about it, and Becky's just like, come on, fight me. Stop gloating, fight me. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing. Which, again, badass.
Right. And not even, because a lot of times what would happen is you take advantage of somebody gloating and catch them off guard.
Yeah.
But Becky did not do that. She faced forward to her and was like, I'm in this ring, you fight me.
Yeah.
Which is...
great.
You didn't get that from women just 4 years ago. You know what I mean? They've come a long way.
Yeah.
And a very exciting path for me to watch as a fan, because I grew up watching Trish Stratus bark like a dog on all 4 legs, and people don't like to talk about that, but I fucking watched it, so I bring it up.
Yeah, but anyways, through the course of events, Becky Lynch won.
Yeah.
So she's going to WrestleMania. She's going to have to make her choice, which we'll talk about again a little bit later. But moving on from that, there were a couple title matches.
Daniel Bryan retained
from...
We kind of expected it.
Yeah, he retained. Though it was... the big thing was that Luke Harper... No, Eric Rowan.
Uh-huh.
Eric Rowan interfered in the match and has sided with Daniel Bryan, so they're now a little faction or whatever.
Yeah, a little buddy team, whatever.
And then Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor. This is actually kind of interesting to me, because the reason I bring this up is...
because it was a match on the card?
Well, it was a match on the card, yes.
The reason I bring this up...
Lesnar is Universal Champion.
Right.
Finn Balor is finally getting his match.
Finn Balor was the first Universal Champion.
Yeah, he was the very first Universal Champion.
Mm-hmm. And, for a day.
And he never lost the title, because what happened is he hurt his arm, had to go surgery, and was out for months at a time, and so they had him relinquish the title immediately. Never defended it once.
Uh-huh.
First champion, though. He gets better, he comes back, never gets a chance at the title, because they were hardcore pushing Roman Reigns. And
they were also afraid that, because at the time what was happening with a lot of wrestlers was that they were getting injured, coming back, getting put back into the build the momentum part of it, and then getting re-injured and then being out for even longer.
Yeah.
It happened a couple of times.
Yeah, it happened quite a few times.
So they were like, we're going to keep you on an easy path, and then they kind of forgot him.
Yeah. So this is kind of him going in. And everyone went, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
That was because that's not the story that they want to tell. They want Brock to go to WrestleMania. He's not going to win.
He dominated the match.
And in a good way. Mm-hmm. And in a way that it was there were moments where I'm like, are they going to give him the title? Holy shit, that'd be amazing.
It's good when they make you forget that it's WWE.
And they essentially kind of copied the match from NXT between Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair, where Belair had Baszler's number, and then Baszler barely scraped out, just through luck.
Yeah.
Happened to get the move that allowed them to win. And that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar was on the verge of losing, and through sheer luck and instinct, was able to make a face that would make any man tap out.
I was scared.
But
and then to me, to other people, so he wins.
Yeah.
And to other people, I saw all over Twitter, they took this as a great insult. And I personally took it as a great compliment. And it's going to sound dumb, but then Brock, in frustration of his barely winning, brutally attacked Finn Balor with suplex after suplex after suplex and an F5. And just wanted to show that he was dominant. Wanted to show after he had already won, because he wasn't dominant in that match. Yeah. And to me, that shows it. Like, that's more, I know it's dumb to be like, and he beat the fuck out of him, and that's the sign of respect. But it was, because it showed that he was mad that he didn't win the way he wanted to win. He had been going against John Cena, where he'd literally do like 14 suplexes in one, and that was it. He did like 5 F5s to Undertaker and won, like, one of the matches that they had. Like,
constantly beat Roman Reigns
with
suplexes.
And though some were better matches than others, they always seemed fairly easy for Brock Lesnar. Yeah. This did not come off as an easy win for him, and he seemed visibly upset about it.
And there's a storytelling, because again, if you, on paper, if you just hear, oh, Brock Lesnar made Finn Balor tap out via submission, and then he just beat the shit out of Finn Balor after he won the match. If you hear that, which is, I have a feeling, a reason a lot of the people were upset is because a lot of the people crying foul didn't actually watch it. They just saw the results and read the results and didn't actually see the match at all. And so they went, well, that's bullshit on paper. But if you actually watch it, again, like we said, it's literally through sheer luck and instinct he is able to barely snap this submission move on Finn Balor, and it takes Finn Balor a long time before he actually taps. Like, it's not an immediate, like, he snaps it on and Finn Balor starts tapping. Like, this is, Finn Balor actually struggles for a long period of time before it's like, you know what, I can't do anything, I'm gonna have to tap.
Yeah.
Like, it literally, it came off less of, I tap because I give up, but it, in more of a, I can't get to the ropes, this is a stalemate, this is checkmate kind of way. Yeah. It came out less of a, I'm hurting, and more of, if I keep this up, he will hurt me.
Yeah.
But I tried. And so Brock is actually getting up, and he starts to walk out of the ring. He literally is like, I won. He looks pissed off. He looks upset at the way he won. And he starts to walk in the ring, and he stops and goes, no, that's not enough. That's not right. That's not the way I was supposed to win.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be dominant. I was supposed to be, the beast. I was supposed to destroy this tiny little speck of a man.
Lava flowing down.
Yeah, and literally goes back in and just, like you said, does suplex after suplex after suplex, does F5, just beats the crap out of him. And it's only after he beats the crap out of him, he still looks pissed, but he feels pleased with himself. That he's like, I was dominant now.
Everyone knows Lesnar can't get it up unless there's 5 suplexes involved.
and then he leaves. And then, I like you, I feel like that says more about Finn than it does about Brock.
Yeah.
Because Brock's never reacted to anyone like this.
Yeah.
The closest you could probably say was when they were shoving Roman Reigns down our throat, and trying to put him and Roman Reigns in a match. They were trying to make Roman Reigns look strong, but this was more believable.
Brock almost laughed at those matches, though. Like, I distinctly remember there was a SummerSlam with John Cena where they had an issue where, like, the entire roster came out to pull him apart, and like, Cena was bleeding and whatever, but Brock was laughing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, Roman Reigns would come out and, like, dominate in his way, and Brock would laugh. They would have promos, the sit-down interview promos. Brock doesn't really show up for, like, promos, where he always kind of, like, that's what I do, I'm an ass kicker, and kind of laughs it off. He was mad. Yeah. He looked mad. He looked pissed. And we haven't seen that from him in a while.
And I love the fact that, again, from a storytelling standpoint, I feel like this is, you and I both are on the same page with this one. I feel like this is where the rest of the world kind of doesn't see the big picture, is that...
It's just that connection. Do you want to get married later?
We're already married.
Nice,
yeah. Anyways, it's the big picture where, at some point, let's say they keep the belt on Brock. They do their big WrestleMania thing. And then they decide, you know what? We need to get the belt off of Brock. but who do we have? Who do we have it done to? If not, like, let's say it's not Seth Rollins. Let's say it's not any of the other main event. It's not Randy Orton. It's not whoever. It's not any of these people.
Those are the only people you can think of.
Main event wise, yeah. In the main event,
yeah, maybe they'll bring
Braun Strowman,
Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
maybe Kevin Owens will come back.
But let's say it's not any of these guys. They now have a story with Finn Balor, because they say it's like, you never got angry when you beat all those other people. You only got angry when you beat me because you barely beat me.
Yeah.
You beat me because I made a mistake. And yes, you beat me, but you never beat a demon. Yeah.
Because he wasn't the demon when he fought him.
And when you hear him say that, fans would get goosebumps. That's a money story right there, because we've already seen Finn Balor on his own, just as Finn Balor, and the story has always been that Finn Balor's great, but Finn Balor as the demon is
unbeatable.
Well, maybe not unbeatable, but is better. Is better than Finn Balor not as the demon.
Yeah.
So you already have a story here that is written if they want to go down that route. Now, they may never go down that route. They may never have Balor and
yeah, but
Brock
this is another one
again.
of those moments that starts here and down the road can be a moment where Aleister Black and Ricochet show up behind Velveteen Dream's back.
Yeah.
A moment they didn't know they were telling a story, but the story told itself.
Yes. Yeah. And again, this is one of the reasons why I love wrestling. So, I mean, there's always that.
I like the flippy stuff.
But, sorry. But yeah, so, and then after that, they had the 30-man Royal Rumble. I feel like they kind of, I don't know. I feel like the guest spots in the Royal Rumble, which are like usually the veteran people, I got why, but they all happened like within the first 5 people.
I got why that too, though, because why you can establish them early and get rid of them early, and then you can use that time for matches.
Yeah.
Because frankly, I don't want to see Jeff Jarrett in there for that long.
Yeah.
Throw him in number 1 and then take him out number 2. Because I don't care about Jeff Jarrett. Sorry, but holy shit, in that gear, boy, do I never want to see that again.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. He really should not have put on the old Double J outfit.
Yeah, 100% he's going to wear it on Raw.
He looked like a cosplayer at a Comic-Con.
But like an Alabama Comic-Con and not like standard... If you're in Alabama, I'd like to apologize now, but what the fuck is up with Jeff Jarrett?
But yeah, so I mean, they had Jeff Jarrett, obviously Kurt Angle came in and was in the match.
Yeah, right up in Zack Ryder's number.
Yeah.
I don't know. The rumor is that that was Zack Ryder's spot, and they wanted somebody that would get a bigger pop, so they gave it to Kurt Angle. Yeah. And rumor is, by the time you guys hear this, who knows, because he's supposed to make some kind of announcement on Raw. We're recording this on Sunday. On Monday, Kurt Angle's supposed to make some kind of announcement about his quote-unquote future in wrestling. So the implication is that he's retiring. Yeah. So, but who knows? So maybe they wanted to give him one last hurrah before he retires. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Or it could just be that he has signed a contract to appear on Raw, so that he can get his revenge on Baron Corbin for the following night on Raw, which we don't have to talk about later. But yeah. This first of all had a showing of NXT stars as well in this one.
Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano. Would he be Johnny Rumbling?
Johnny Rumble.
Yeah, he was Johnny. Yeah, he's
Johnny Takeover. Yeah. Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Halftime.
Johnny Halftime.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. But yeah,
maybe
Johnny Rumble. But yeah, so a lot of good little moments with. I think they had Pete Dunne was also part of it, who also did really really good in there. And then, but I think the biggest surprise entrant was number 30. Was supposed to be R-Truth.
Yes.
And
was not.
Was not. He was attacked by another person who took his place because fuck it, Becky did it, so she can too.
Nia Jax decided that she can beat the fuck out of R-Truth.
And take his spot at the Rumble.
Jumped in when there were 5 people left.
Yeah. It was Randy Orton, Almas, Rey Mysterio,
Dolph Ziggler,
Seth Rollins, and I think that was it. And then Nia Jax.
Mustafa Ali.
Oh, Mustafa Ali, yeah. Yeah, because she eliminated
Mustafa Ali. Seth Rollins was out of the ring at the moment. Andre Cien Almas, who I always want to call him Andrade. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Is it Andrade?
I thought it was Andrade.
I go back and forth. I always forget. I go back and forth between Andre and Andrade, and then one of them's wrong, one of them's right.
I think it's Andrade.
Anyway, he was like out in the corner, like resting up, napping, taking a little snooze. Mustafa Ali did not want to attack Nia Jax, so Nia Jax lifted him up and tossed his ass out because ain't none of us got time for people that don't want to fight.
Well, actually, it was she put him up on the shoulders like she was gonna throw him out, and then Randy Orton came in and pushed her, and she fell into the ropes, and Mustafa Ali went over the ropes.
Oh, well, it still counts as her elimination. Yeah. And so she actually fought. So she's the 4th woman to enter the Men's Royal Rumble.
Yes.
She is the first besides China. So the second one, I believe, because China went in and fought and took somebody out and then got eliminated.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know if Karma eliminated anybody when she entered.
I think she did.
But I don't remember it being a fight. I don't remember any woman throwing a punch except maybe China.
Yeah.
But Karma might have lifted somebody. I think she eliminated like Michael Cole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like a gimmicky elimination.
Yeah, no, it was
for Karma. And then Beth Phoenix kissed
the Great Khali,
and like pulled him out of the ring.
And then she got pulled out with him.
Yeah, and she went down with him. And that, so like, look, I love Beth Phoenix. I think she's great. She was definitely like holding the women afloat at a time when Kelly was a wrestler. And but that's such a garbage thing to do to women, where it's just like you put them in the Men's Royal Rumble and then you have them kiss a guy out. Nia Jax went in there, beat the shit out of a guy to get in, eliminated a guy. However, that elimination happened, who was Mustafa Ali, who is on fire right now.
Yeah.
Frankly, he's got a lot of momentum behind him, and actually fought the guys. She got Randy Orton into position to get Rey Mysterio's 619. And then have at it to Rey Mysterio. And then when he goes, she hits him. And they start hitting her back. This is a huge deal for me. And this isn't I'm not against it, in case the people thought I was going to be like, how dare her? No, opposite. They saw her as a threat. They treated her as a threat. She is a competitor in the Royal Rumble. They treated her as a competitor in the Royal Rumble. I think it's ridiculous that it's taken this long. TNA has had intergender fucking TNA has had intergendered matches. Lucha Underground has had intergendered matches.
The Sexy Star held the Lucha Underground title.
There's no fucking reason. There's no legitimate reason. The worst reason I've seen online so far has been this promotes domestic violence. If that is your opinion, I want you to write it on a piece of paper. I want you to roll that piece of paper up, and I want to shove it up your fucking ass. It's so dumb to hear people say that because domestic violence is a thing, men and women should not fight. These are athletes, and these are entertainers. And this is a story, and she's not getting beat because she's a woman. She's getting hit because she's a fucking competitor and she's a fighter. And she did not back down when they hit her. She did not cry. She didn't break a fucking nail when it happened. And she sure as fuck isn't going to the back to make him a sandwich fucking afterwards. So the idea that, well, men hit women in real life, therefore men can't hit women in this entertainment business is garbage. First of all, it's a fucking fictional story. Nobody here is acting like it's not. Like, Don't tell me that it's something that it's not. It's 100% not. Men fight other men all the time in real life. They're allowed to fight each other in fucking wrestling. Shut the fuck up with your bullshit fucking opinions. I can't stand it. You cannot tell me that Ronda Rousey can't get into a fight with some of the wrestlers in WWE. Don't tell me Ronda Rousey couldn't punch the fuck out of CM Punk and take him down.
She beat the shit out of Triple H repeatedly.
Yeah, so, and look, I'm not saying everyone's believable. I'm not saying Alexa Bliss could go out and punch and win against Brock Lesnar. I'm not fucking asking for that. But I highly doubt that they would ever put Mustafa Ali versus Brock Lesnar too. So, don't tell me that it's that either. The point is that they opened the door for intergendered wrestling, and I fucking want it to happen. And I swear to God, if you assholes with your big mouths fucking ruin it for me, I will hunt every last one of you down, and I will throw your ass out like Nia Jax threw out Mustafa Ali. You swear to fucking God. Like, I get real heated about it, and I'm sorry, but it's garbage. It just bothers me. You were there.
Yes, I was.
Tell them how excited I was.
You were pretty excited. You were. I had to pump some oxygen in the room because of how excited you were.
But it means a lot to me because you really open yourself. I think 205 Live should be intergendered. I think it would just automatically turn 205 Live into something that the rest of WWE is not. I think Becky Lynch is so good that eventually you're going to run out of women for her to plow through, and then it's going to be stale and you're not going to be able to do anything unless you allow them to start intergender wrestling. It just bothers me that people just threw bullshit like, she ended up getting RKO'd anyway, so, like, who cares? And it's just like, right, but everyone gets RKO'd. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Are you kidding me? Like,
also, she reversed the RKO the first time he tried it.
Yeah. So, it's just, there's a lot of
Not a lot of people get that.
Yeah.
Usually it's RKO, they're done.
Yeah. And I feel like if you're reading it on paper, it sounds bad of just like, and then she came in and then got RKO'd and then got, thrown out. Except that it took Rey Mysterio it took Dolph Ziggler to kick her, to super kick her. It took Randy Orton to RKO her and Rey Mysterio to 619 her to get her out of that ring. And it means the world to me.
It took 3 former World Heavyweight Champions, WWE Champions. It took 3 former champions to eliminate her.
If you don't think that she can handle herself in a wrestling match, you have to look me in the eye and tell me that you feel like Baron Corbin's a better wrestler than Nia Jax.
I can't. I can't do that.
Because there are so many garbage wrestlers, and I'm not saying Nia Jax is the best wrestler.
Yeah.
She's definitely not the best women's wrestler in WWE right now.
Yeah.
But she's certainly better than some of the men wrestlers in WWE. Hashtag Baron Corbin sucks balls, and I don't know why he's on Elias. I can't understand what you guys see in Elias. Let me tell you. And they're not great wrestlers. And I feel like, you know what? Why not do something with Nia Jax that you can, and she can get better. She's constantly improving. I can't say that about Baron Corbin. It just bothers me. Anyway, Seth Rollins won the Royal Rumble. I don't have a good segue out of this.
I'm going to say one thing, and we can move on past Seth. Outside of, I do want to talk about the fact that Seth Rollins refused to point at the sign.
Oh yeah,
he won and just never did. Like they kept, like the cameras were trying to get in position for it,
angle and he didn't.
And he never did. I think he did finally. Like someone actually said, "Point at the goddamn sign," and he finally pointed at it. But it was like right as it cut off and went off air. Yeah. Like so, they weren't 100% sure they got it. So they had him recreate the moment on Raw.
Yeah, well, I think he even said like, "And now I get to point at the sign."
Yeah, but one of the thing I will say about your little rant there is for the first time since we've relaunched the podcast, I'm going to have to put an explicit warning on the episode.
Yeah, sorry.
That should tell you how energetic she is about this and how passionate she is.
To All Rings Considered, because this was very much what it used to be.
Yes, it was. But Seth Rollins won the title, or won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
We move on to Raw, where
We're not going to go... I don't even remember.
There's only a few things that bring up is now the big things I want to bring up out of that. One, R-Truth. Beats Shinsuke Nakamura for the title. And I think what's great about this is that I think it was planned to go that, like, this storyline-wise, this is exactly how it was planned to happen. And I feel like that both R-Truth and Shinsuke Nakamura played it off so well that it doesn't look like it was planned. Mm-hmm. So R-Truth covers like Shinsuke like with a roll up,
it was a roll
and basically gets a 3 count. But it kind of looks like you're not sure if he got the 3 count, and it's very clear they don't think that he got the 3 count
because they keep wrestling.
But then the bell rings. Then the referee like rings the bell and says, "No, R-Truth won," and they're like, "What? What?"
R-Truth is like, "Yes, I won."
Yeah, very much. She's like, I won. Hey, I won. That's amazing. I won. And so it's very much like Shinsuke's all kind of pissed off about it and has to go to the back because he lost the match and he's upset. And then Rusev comes out and goes, "You won by a fluke. That title is not yours. That title is mine. I should have that title because Shinsuke." He only beat me last night because of Lana getting injured, and that title's mine. And if you're such a big man and why don't you put that title on the line right now and fight me right now? Because clearly you didn't have a full match. It was literally like 5 seconds long.
Yeah.
And R-Truth goes, all right, let's do it. Now, what's great about this is the entire crowd is sitting there going, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. Like, no, just take the belt and run, R-Truth. You've got the belt. Like, I love it when fans are and the wrestlers are able to play with the fans' emotions in that way, because it's very much like the fans are treating R-Truth like, you deserve this win, but you're not going to win if you go into another fight. Get the fuck out of there. They're like, fight another day.
Yeah, wrestling fans love fighting champions, but when they love you enough, they're like, don't fight, run!
Yeah, like it's clear you're going to lose. And then he beat Rusev. Like, kind of in the same way that he beat Shinsuke. It was a very quick roll-up, and he won. And he still has the title. Mm-hmm. I think that's amazing. I think that's great. And then Rusev and Shinsuke attacked R-Truth and beat him up, and then now they're in a feud with the...
Now they're like a tag team?
Yeah, they're going to be fighting the club, the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
Anderson and Gallows this upcoming... But the other thing is that... Becky Lynch came out and said, I'm going to face Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Seth Rollins came in and was just like, I don't know who I'm going to face yet. I got to think about it. Maybe I'll go after Daniel Bryan. Maybe I'll go after Brock Lesnar. And Becky Lynch is like, I don't even think about it. I'm going to fucking punch the shit out of Ronda Rousey.
I'm going to punch that bitch in the face.
She's just like, I'm going after her.
Yeah, and by the end of the night, as Seth Rollins was still saying, like, he wasn't 100% sure who he was going to face, Brock Lesnar comes out and attacks Seth Rollins.
Thus answering that for us.
Us saying that that's who... And I think you made the best observation about the people who are challenging, who are the challengers at WrestleMania, and who the title holders are.
So Seth Rollins calls himself the man. Because it was like... One was the big dog... Right, that was like Roman Reigns was a big dog, and then Dean Ambrose was a
lunatic fringe.
Yeah, and so he just called himself the man. I mean, he was technically like the architect, but there was a thing between like the man and the beast and the whatever.
Yeah, it was also Roman Reigns came out and goes, I'm not the good guy, I'm not the bad guy, I'm just the guy.
That's what it was.
And then Seth Rollins was like, well, I'm the man because I got the title, and this was a long time ago when he had the title, and he's like, I'm clearly so I'm the man,
and now,
and then
Becky
Ambrose
Lynch
came out and was like, well, just call me the dude.
Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't remember, but I was like, I know all three of them had a thing. So Seth Rollins for a long time was called the man.
Yeah.
And now Becky Lynch is the man. And both the man and the man are now challenging for the titles, the Raw titles, between an MMA fighter and an MMA fighter. So no matter how you fucking slice it, it's the man versus an MMA fighter. And I just think it's funny, and I don't think it was intentional at all.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of the way it got written out.
Yeah.
It also makes it easier for WWE because they just have to write one storyline.
Yeah.
And they just do. I mean, last year, Shinsuke Nakamura won the Royal Rumble and Asuka won the Royal Rumble. And it kind of felt like they were like, same story.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Oh, no. It was like because I don't know if you remember, but last year I even tweeted about it, that the ending of the Women's Royal Rumble and the ending to the Men's Royal Rumble was the exact same ending.
Yeah.
Like, it played out the exact same way.
Yeah.
And it was kind of awkward.
Yeah, because they just wrote one thing and then were just like reskinned it.
Yeah.
So it was women. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was Raw. Don't really talk about any of the matches because I'm going to be honest, outside of watching like the pay-per-view style events on the WWE Network and NXT, I don't really watch Raw or SmackDown.
We don't have cable.
Yeah, but we watch we basically watched YouTube videos for to get the gist of what's going on.
Matches and storylines.
Yeah. And that works for us. And then on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan introduced a new belt.
It's made out of wood, hemp, and turquoise, and that it's like a Southwest Mother's Dream belt, and I want them to make replicas of it because I would buy it and I would wear it to work every day.
Yeah, it's actually pretty amazing.
I can't decide if it's actually bad or not because I love it so much. I love stupid stuff.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's actually pretty hilarious. Apparently, they had 2 belts made, and one of them was a little bit too glossy.
It was made out of like recycled newspaper or something, and so it had like a recycled magazine and plastic, and so it had a shine to it, and they really wanted it to be a stark contrast to the shiny leather metal belt.
Poor Daisy. For anyone who doesn't know, Daisy was what Daniel Bryan called the title because the strap was made of leather.
Yeah.
So he said it came from a cow named Daisy. So he just called the belt Daisy. And he threw Daisy away in the trash and then introduced his new,
fair trade, fully organic, vegan title belt.
Yeah.
The strap's made of hemp. The actual plates are made of wood. And from a like driftwood from like a naturally fallen tree, not a tree that was cut down. And then the turquoise was like any shiny bits are turquoise.
Yeah, so fucking great. Like
it looks like like it's just a beachy. It's looks like a hippie belt, and it's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's so great. But the big thing, the next big thing that we want to talk about, and this actually ties into the ending of NXT Takeover Phoenix, was the WWE Worlds Collide, which was just the following Saturday after those Raw and SmackDown. What Worlds Collide was the best of NXT versus the best of 205 Live versus the best of NXT UK. Mm-hmm. Which, yes, there are 2 different versions of NXT. There's the American one, and then there's the recent upstart, which is the UK.
Which we haven't seen. We've seen a lot of matches with those wrestlers, but we personally haven't watched NXT UK. I don't think we've ever watched an actual full episode. Yeah,
no, we haven't. But it was a tournament. Like, I actually thought it was interesting because it was started off with a battle royal to determine who would get all the competitors to determine who would get a first round bye in a tournament. And I was like, wait, this is a tournament? And I was like, so we're going to get the entire tournament in 2 hours? That seems weird. And what it turned out is that this was actually recorded before NXT TakeOver Phoenix and before the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. And it was... They recorded all of it, and they edited it down.
Yeah.
We only got to see like a handful of matches.
First tournament match and the last tournament for the first round.
Yeah.
I think we got 2 full matches from that, and then 1 or 2 qualifying matches after that.
Yeah, like a couple of round matches here and there.
I don't think we saw more than 4.
Yeah, we saw the battle royal in its entirety, and then we saw, I think, like 4 matches after that. Mm-hmm. And then there was like montages of the other matches that were going on, which great matches, first of all.
All the ones we saw, yeah.
Yeah.
The Rumble was really good.
The winner of this was the Velveteen Dream, which the winner of this tournament gets a shot at the title
of his
choosing from any one of the 3 brands. So the interesting thing about this was that if someone was on 205 Live, they don't have to go over to the Cruiserweight title. They can actually challenge the UK title, NXT title, or the NXT Tag Team titles, or they could choose whichever title they wanted. Mm-hmm. They would get that title shot.
Which was why I wanted Keith Lee to win, because I wanted him to go after the Cruiserweight title, because fucking whatever. Because
he's not 205.
He is huge. He is giant. Also, as far as like, Amanda picks winners.
Lee's one of ours.
Yeah, you keep your eyes on Keith Lee. You do not want to look away from Keith Lee. You always look at Keith Lee. Do not blink. Blink and he will find you.
Yes.
I think. I don't know.
To kind of speak about Keith Lee a little bit here, since we got a second, I love his gimmick because it works as a heel and a face. It's another one of those, it could be heel or face, but it works exceptionally as a face. Because his whole thing is he's limitless Keith Lee.
Uh-huh.
Now, when people hear limitless, like, oh, he's got to be undefeated, like, no one can beat him. He's this big, giant dude who also floats like a fucking butterfly and does moves.
Why are there so many graceful giant people?
I don't know. But
he looks like somebody's really nice dad.
He kind of does. Huge fan of Dragon Ball. Like, one of his moves on the indies was called the Spirit Bomb. That he would do. It was like a Spirit Bomb, Power Bomb.
Yeah.
But that, I digress. But the thing, Limitless, is, and I love it in one of his first promos for NXT, he explained what that means. And it's so fucking money. Mm-hmm. Which he goes, Limitless doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Limitless means that I am, the possibilities of what I can do are limitless. Yeah, I'm going to lose. But when I lose, I get right back up, learn from those mistakes, and become better. Yeah. And that way you can't put a ceiling on what I can do.
I love the power of positivity.
Yeah, and it's so good. Like, it's said in a way that actually comes off like, you know, you have one aspect of it's like it's a good message for anyone. It's like, oh, well, the only limitations you're putting on yourself are the ones you put on yourself. If you learn from your mistakes, you get better. There is no stopping you. There is no ceiling that can be put above you.
The limit does not exist.
Yeah, there is no limit. But also, as a heel, it's like, yeah, you may have beat me in that match, but I'm just going to come back at you. I'm gonna come after you. You cannot stop me from coming after you and beating the crap out of you. Mm-hmm. Like, it literally can go either way. But I love Keith Lee. Yeah. I love Keith Lee. He was one of the guys that was, I don't know if he's from Texas, but he was heavy in the Texas independent scene. Mm-hmm. We actually kind of watched him kind of grow a little bit.
Well, yeah, I remember when he first started, he was like we don't want you to talk monster type.
Yeah.
And then they started giving him the mic, and people were charmed by him instantly.
Yeah, he's a fucking charming dude.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of charisma. But yeah, so I'm a big fan of him. He did not win. It was won by Velveteen Dream, and Velveteen Dream chose to go after the NXT title, which explains why he walked out at the end of NXT
to talk shit to Tommaso Ciampa,
because he had his choice. He had already won that tournament.
Yeah. Also, he couldn't go after the 205 Live belt either, because he's bigger than 205.
Yes.
Just in case anybody's wondering. Yeah. Like, why not give yourself a call-up? Because technically 205 is considered main roster.
Yeah.
But you can't if you're a tall, muscular dude, because you're going to, even if you look skinny, you're tall, you're probably going to weigh more than 205 pounds.
I think that this tournament was interesting, and I'd definitely like to see them do more with it, like in the future. Like, have it be like a 1 year...
Yeah.
Kind of thing, like a show. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd love to see more of these. I like the idea of...
Well, I think the crossovers need to happen more, because it really allows you to get introduced to the other characters and makes you want to watch the other shows.
Yeah, definitely. And they have a nice round of, these are the guys who are the stars of the show, but here's maybe a couple guys you may not know about. Kind of thing. It's a good way to mix it all in and maybe even help... because there were people that I've never even heard of from the UK NXT that really impressed me.
Yeah. There was a guy in 205 Live that we didn't recognize.
There was.
Who are you?
Yeah. So that was great. But then the last thing we're going to talk about here, and then we're going to be done for the evening, was the halftime heat. Mm-hmm. We did not watch the Super Bowl. Let me first tell you that. We actually instead watched the YouTube stream for halftime heat, which before the actual match,
it's like best of NXT matches.
Yes, and I hope that everyone got to watch that, because there were some really good matches, and I got to rewatch some matches that I had already seen. Uh-huh. I got to watch a few matches that I had never seen before, and they're all really, really good. Mm-hmm. So definitely, I'm glad that WWE did this. I did not watch the Super Bowl. You did not watch the Super Bowl.
No, I was busy.
We watched halftime heat, and then we still did not watch the Super Bowl. We are actually recording this podcast. I'm assuming the Super Bowl is over by now, considering what time it is, but it may not be.
We don't know.
We don't know, because we're recording a podcast.
Yeah, we're busy.
But halftime heat happened, and again, it was Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. And fuck, this was a great match. Like, I think you can actually still go watch it on YouTube if you don't have the WWE Network. And if you do, go watch it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Just go watch. This was literally the best 6 men from NXT putting on one of the best matches of the year so far.
Yeah. I mean,
now, mind you, we're only...
This should really set the pace for the kind of matches I want to see at WrestleMania. Yeah.
And this... because not only was it great, but each member had their moment to shine. Like, each person... Like, even on the losing team, each person had a moment where they were giving it their all, where they were the one you couldn't take your eyes off of. And they were all doing amazing things. And they were all playing their parts. Like, they were all, the heels were heels, the good guys were good guys. There was teamwork with all of them.
Yeah.
And it was just such a refreshing match.
Yeah.
Especially because, again, I did not hate Royal Rumble. Actually, I think this is the first time in like 6 years that I actually came out pretty satisfied with the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
I think last year I was indifferent. Like, last year was the first year I wasn't mad.
It, like, leaned good.
Yeah, last year was the first time I wasn't mad at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Because previous to that, I was pissed off. Like, if you look, every time on this day, memories on Facebook, every time I look at the Royal Rumble memories, they're always like, fuck this Royal Rumble, man. What the hell is WWE doing?
Yeah.
This is garbage. That year they booed Rey Mysterio. It literally...
Big E was number 29.
Yeah.
28? 28.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But this was a year that I was actually pretty satisfied with how the Royal Rumble ended. Like, yeah, there were some meh matches
but not that many, honestly.
Yeah,
and the problem was more just you get exhausted from a lot of good matches back to back to back, and then WWE has been having this problem where things go too long. Pay-per-views, Raw, it's too long. So then when you have a good show, you hit exhaustion. And so even if Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles had a great match, by the end of the Women's Royal Rumble, we were too exhausted to have anything other than a standard, it's okay, it was fine match. If they put on the greatest match in the world, we wouldn't be cheering them because we'd be fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to have some cool-down stuff.
Yeah, they were the cool-down match, which,
It happens.
It happens. But you got to think about this. And, even just looking, NXT TakeOver Phoenix, it's a 2-hour-long show. Royal Rumble is a 5-hour-long show?
Yeah.
If not longer because of the pre-show?
Yeah.
Raw is 3 hours. SmackDown is 2 hours. Now, mind you, we didn't watch all of Raw and SmackDown. We watched those through YouTube clips. But, then you also had WWE Worlds Collide, which I think was another 2-hour show.
Yeah.
And then now you have Halftime Heat, which Halftime Heat was, I think, 30 minutes or an hour? 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was about 30 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that. Plus all the replay of older matches that we watched ahead of time. There's a lot of wrestling this last week. There's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we decided to do this episode, is because there's a lot. But I am not kidding when I'm saying, if you're interested in anything we've talked about in this episode, fuck everything else. Watch Halftime Heat on YouTube if it's available.
Yeah.
If you have the WWE Network and you missed it, watch it on
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm saying if it's still on YouTube, like if you can still watch it, if it's been archived or whatever, watch it. For the love of God, watch it. This was a amazing match, and like you said, like in this match, there's moments where Ricochet and Johnny Gargano are just doing their thing, and it's so fluid and it doesn't look rehearsed. Mm-hmm. It just looks amazing.
Good. Yeah, it's just a good performance. Like, you're not sitting there going, oh, this is a fake wrestling match, or, oh, this is, like, choreographed. You're watching and going, how the fuck are they doing that? The timing on that sort of thing has to be perfect, and it was perfect.
Yeah. And everyone is oozing with character. All 6 men are oozing with character in the Halftime Heat show. And
this is also another great example of a story being told in just the wrestling, because you don't get a lot of storyline between, like, there's no promos before, like, and why are you fighting this person? And, you know, you don't need to know that. You go into this match and a story is told beginning, middle, and end in the match.
yeah.
And if you don't understand what that means, watch this match and see it, because it's there. You just have to be open to understanding that that's what's happening, is that they're telling a story. You get a feeling for these characters with their intros. You get a feeling for these characters as they're fighting. And you get a full story between people fighting certain people, and why this person's attacking that person, why it was important that this person didn't hit that person. All of that happens in this match.
Yeah.
And you feel it without knowing their background stories.
Yeah, no, agreed. And also, something that I've constantly said for the longest time, and this match is probably the epitome of it. Wrestling is live-action comic books. Mm-hmm. This is a match where you had good versus evil. You had the good guys versus the bad guys. And sometimes there were shades of gray in the match. Sometimes there were, you know, because sometimes the fans cheered for the bad guys. Sometimes they booed the good guy. Sometimes they swapped back and cheered the good guy and booed the bad guy. But either way, you have these men fighting and doing these amazingly unrealistic things, and they're doing it in a way that looks believable.
Yeah.
And it's superheroes. It's high-flying superheroes in comic books brought to real life. And again, when I say it's everything that I love about wrestling, this is the culmination of that. This is that there's a story being told. There's a story that if you were to break this down as a 22-page comic book done in panels, this is how it would look. Like if you were to take a 22-page comic and translate it into a real live action, this is how it would look. And it's amazing. Like, this is one of those things where this is why I love wrestling. And it's great.
Yeah.
And that's why I say if you are interested in anything that we've talked about or any of the descriptions of stuff and you want to know what we're talking about, even if it's just like, well, I only have time for one thing, watch the Halftime Heat show on YouTube. It's free on YouTube. If it's assuming it's archived, watch it. For the love of God, it's so good. And yeah, that's the most I can really say about it. But and I'm excited to see where NXT and Raw and SmackDown and
the road to WrestleMania, and it goes from here. And I'm excited to see what happens for wrestlers who weren't featured on the shows that we've talked about. You know, I'm excited to see what happens to them. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for promotions that haven't even actually started yet, but are currently about to be a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. And
we're hitting a day and age where people leave WWE, and instead of feeling bad, we're feeling excited for them.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I can say we felt in a long time.
One of the things is Dean Ambrose. He recently, it was revealed that he has not signed his contract and he is not going to resign.
For 90 days? I think he's still in for 90 days, something like that.
Well, his last, he's still going to be wrestling up until WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And then after WrestleMania, because his contract doesn't expire until after WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. He will basically be on the shelf for 90 days, and then he'll be free to do whatever he wants. Hideo Itami, we talked about earlier. Yeah. He's already asked for his release and been given it. He has 90 days, and then he can go do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm just interested in seeing what's going on. And I know it's kind of funny because I had talked to you about not necessarily doing this episode, and not necessarily about doing All Rings Considered again, because I don't feel like I don't want to do that again, because
it was a lot.
It was a lot. The way we were doing it, it was a lot, and I don't know if we can do it to that level.
Not without quitting our jobs.
Yeah, not without quitting our jobs. But it's
But we need that sweet cash for the WWE network, John.
Yeah, no, we do. But yeah, it was just one of those things where I was bringing up to you because I'm excited to talk about wrestling right now, and and clearly, and you came up to me and it's kind of at the same time like we need to do something. It's like, all right, well, let's do this episode. Let's do this. Now, does that mean that because I said we don't want to do All Rings Considered, that means that that's gone and this won't be a thing? No, we're talking about some other things. We're kind of playing around with some ideas.
We're playing with the format of All Rings Considered, and I don't think for the foreseeable future it would ever come back as a podcast. But that doesn't mean it's not coming back maybe in the future. It'll just be something reworked to something that we can manage.
It might even be something under a different title. I don't know yet.
Similar idea, different title.
Yeah.
Still be All Rings.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be something that we can talk about wrestling while also talking about other things. But I don't want to go into too much detail because we don't know the details. It's just we're talking. So for anyone who's a fan of that and wants to know more,
oh my God, we're going to be on Up, Up, Down, Down.
Oh no,
I'm just kidding.
I wish. But
call us, Xavier.
Yeah, call us, man. But in all honesty, that's it. That's all we really have time to talk about. As always, if you like what you hear, subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the bell thing to be notified whenever an episode goes up because we post everything to YouTube. Also, if you don't want to subscribe on YouTube, go to iTunes. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave a review if you're there. You don't even have to leave a text review, even though we appreciate it if you do. At least rate the show. It helps us get noticed. If people leave reviews and rate. We're also on Stitcher, which I think you can also leave reviews on. We're on Spotify. We are not on iHeartRadio yet, like I thought last week. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll see.
There's a waiting period we have to get through. So.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anywhere else. If you want to know how to get to our YouTube channel, if you're hearing this on iTunes or whatever, our YouTube channel, you can get to it right now at bit.ly/Geek Bombast, all lowercase. Once we can get up to 100 subscribers, I can actually change the YouTube URL so that it actually has our legit name and not the random numbers and letters that it has right now. We have, if you want to send us questions or ask us things, because every 5 episodes we do a Q&A style episode or a Q&A inspired episode. You can send us emails to geekbombast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at geekbombast. You can go on Facebook, facebook.com/geekbombast, and send us a message on there. We are also on Instagram at geekbombast.
Also, any one of those, if you do want to hear more of a specific topic, like if you're like, don't ever talk about wrestling again, but I want to hear more about comics, or, I actually really enjoyed the wrestling episode, you guys should talk more about wrestling, or I'm interested in hearing what you do with that All Rings, let us know. Leave those comments. Mention it to us, because it's hard for us to gauge what you guys want to hear if you're not telling us.
Yes, exactly. I think I originally said that by the end of January, beginning of February, we'd have a website and maybe even launch a Patreon. That stuff's still being worked on. Hasn't not gone into effect yet. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure when that's going to go into effect, but it's still being worked on and figured out and everything.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know, obviously, when that stuff goes live. But is there anything else you want to plug or say before we end things here?
No.
All right. Well, that's the end of the episode, and we're out.
Ring the bell.